Hey, this is Matthew with Riverponics coming to you with another video. Coming to give you an update on my flow and grow system. This is the 12 plant and I have it designed a little different, so it kind of shows you the flexibility of what you can actually do with this. My big tobacco plant's growing. I have a variety of different plants in here. Some basil, there's a lemon tree, eggplant back there, more tobacco, citronella, and okra. Alright, so I kind of show you how this actually works. The back view. So this is my patented brewer here, and that is what delivers the water nutrients throughout the flow and grow. And you can see there's double stack containers. There's two components that runs the whole system. You have an air pump right there, and then you have a submersible pump that's housed in the reservoir. That submersible pump that's housed in the reservoir is attached to this half-inch line here that runs up to the brewer and pumps water into the brewer. There's an internal removable water filter, and this is the airlift chamber that actually lifts the water from the bottom of the brewer up to the top of the surface over the filter. This is your overflow protection. This prevents your compost brewer from overflowing. That'll turn on and off your submersible pump that's housed in the reservoir. There's your control valve for controlling the amount of fluid that actually flows back into your brewer. So it forms that closed loop, and the compost brewer actually brews and dispenses the tea out of the brewer into the grow system. It cycles through the grow system, comes back to the reservoir, forms a closed loop, and ultimately gets back into the brewer. And it does that on a continual basis. You have control valves here that controls the amount of water that comes out of the brewer. So this is, you got two of them here that's feeding each side. There's the inlet on that one, and there's the inlet on the other side. Alright. In the reservoir you have a float valve there, and that is your self-watering. That's hooked up to an external water source right there. Alright, so how this works is that water comes out of the brewer to the first container, and there's probably approximately about that much water in there that flows through each bucket. Okay, flows through, then it comes back around back to the reservoir, and at that point it turns up into the reservoir and you can see the water flowing out. But in order for you to be able to manage the water level in those containers there, this actually swivels, so you can move this up and down, and that will give you your water level in your containers. Alright, so what happens is, as this plant develops, the roots grow into the soil, and then eventually they get down into the water into your second container. And now you just increase the size of your growing container, so that helps the plant out, establish a bigger root and faster growth. And what I have here, so what happens is the water wicks up into this top container. I have a wick inside here, a wicking cylinder I use, and you pack that full of soil, and it actually wicks the water up into the container. So it is a self-watering system, and you can tell here that you can pull the soil back and it's nice and moist. That's how you want it. Dry on top, moist on the bottom. That's the citronella. I just actually planted that. It's from a cutting. But you can see this tobacco really likes this system a lot. I can get some really big tobacco plants indoors. And if you've never grown tobacco, There's a trick to keeping them growing and getting larger, and I will show you right here. The top of this one's wanting to flower out. So what you do is you actually pick that off right here, back out. Pick that off, and then it'll keep on growing. So as long as you keep on picking, it'll keep on growing. All right, and you pick the individual leaves off as they start browning. Starting to brown a little bit, you pick the leaves off and you hang them. Now, when I sell these systems, I don't offer the unions, but because I don't want to outprice my product, right? So I figure if the end user wants to install them, it's real easy to do. Put a union there, and I have a union over here. All right, I would suggest doing that on both sides. I don't have it over here on this side. I don't have unions in here, which is fine. But it's a lot easier for doing like maintenance and cleaning and stuff to have your unions in place there. This separates things, makes things easier. But I do have some tobacco hanging over here. Here's my future grow tent. I don't even have it on my website yet, but it will be soon. But it's a double door, 3 fixtures. It's got the exhaust fan, but it's an open top tent enclosure. So that dissipates the heat, and actually you turn on that exhaust fan there, and that will help pull in air too. So I don't think you have any problems. And then you can duct that out right there. Duct that out. This is the brewer that would actually sit outside of the grow tent, and you put all your nutrients inside there. So it makes it real nice. You don't even have to go in your grow tent to water your plants or feed them, because this feeds the plants themselves. Okay? It's a closed loop system, self-watering system too. But over here I have, there's some tobacco hanging actually. So there's some that's been there for a while drying. But that's kind of what it looks like. That's how you hang it. Out in there I just use some ceiling wire for drop ceilings. That works really good, and you just puncture the wire through the stem. That works out the best. But these are my other grow systems. There's the vertical grow. This is the Pro Grow. Got 6 tomatoes on there. This is the XL36. And you can see this one's sitting higher, so these frames are adjustable. But all my systems I sell sit at that level, so that gives you more growing space. That's 6 foot tall right there. All right, and the vertical 7 foot tall. Now I can go taller than that too. So it just depends on what you're looking for, how much ceiling space you have, floor to ceiling space. Here's a deluxe with side rails, plant supports. And there's where I was talking about with the tobacco, letting them flower out. See that? Now that'll produce a shit ton of seeds. And the seeds are really small. They're like a mustard seed or smaller. So yeah, there again, the tobacco really likes this. They've got a humongous basil plant that's been growing for quite a while now. And you just keep on picking there again. It wants to flower out, and you pick those off, and this thing will just keep on producing. It's pretty amazing. This is a really big angel trumpet. This thing is nuts. It's it got really big, and I mean it branches all the way down. And check out the seeds on that. Where's it at? There it is. You can see that porcupine looking thing. They just kind of open up, and a lot of seeds in there. Pretty cool. get a beautiful flower on them. It's getting ready to flower. There's a couple of them coming, a few of them, more than a few. There's a lot of them. But so, like this system here, I got the brewer, and it comes off the brewer. This tees off the brewer, right? Comes through here. There's a control valve. Bypasses this one, goes bypasses that one, bypasses the next one, and it actually enters into here. So that's where the water's going in, and it goes down the whole distance, comes back around, and drains out right there, and comes back up to the next channel. And it repeats itself. And it serpentines through this whole system here. Serpentines all the way through back to the brewer, and drains out right there. Alright, so this little brewer is actually feeding 4 grow channels right now. Yeah. This is a lime tree. It's been growing for a while. This actually does have limes on it right here. 2 of them growing. But there's patchouli, rosemary, again there's that big basil plant. Actually just started this green bean plant, and it's growing really fast. And man, I probably, a lot of these plants, you know, sometimes you can actually put more than just one plant in a container. So it's already starting to get a little green bean growing on it. Strawberry, there's eggplant, citronella again. There's quite a variety of stuff you can do. There's all my tomatoes I'm starting. And if you can see my containers, you're probably wondering, see these have, that's what's nice, you can recycle. Don't throw your containers away, recycle them. If you got holes in them, they're still usable. And that's how you create your own air printing container right there. So what you do is line the inside with screen, and you just fill it up with soil. That simple. So this one only, I think there's a hole on this side and the opposite side. So instead of throwing these away, you can utilize them, and it works great, the air printing. So 3 tomatoes. There's my brewer. It's coming off this brewer. See, it's T-tapped off of here. Skips, comes to here, goes in, serpentines through, and then actually slow down a little bit, flows back into the reservoir there. Now I'm also coming off this brewer and feeding the vertical grow. Okay, so I have an additional pump inside the reservoir that's attached to this right here, attached to that pipe. Goes right down in the reservoir. So that pumps the water up. Got a control valve. Goes into the channel, serpentines through the channel, through the top channels, and then let's see if I can get the bottom shot. Comes down, comes back up, goes into that channel, serpentines through, and then drops down to the lower level, and then serpentines through, and then ultimately drains back right there. So with this scenario, I'm actually feeding 6 channels. So it just kind of shows you how you can expand on these systems, all right? And these are all my smaller units, but it still shows you the abilities you can do with this grow system. So it's definitely expandable, and it's pretty unique in its own right. Being able to use soil, and all these are self-watering too. All these, everything you see here is self-watering. They all wick up the water, all right? So you really don't have to do anything except add nutrients to your brewer and give it a good clean every now and then, you know? But it's fun, it's exciting. There's a lot of parts and pieces to this. To, you know, offer actually a lot of different systems, and I can tailor basically to your needs, which whatever you want to go with, and how much space you have, and the growing environment you want to grow in. And all these can be absolutely done outdoors. Obviously you won't need the lights at that point. grow systems get a lot cheaper when you don't include lights, you know. But yeah, these do fantastic outdoors. And with certain types of plants, they got the slots here on your angle beams, and so you can tie wrap off of here and put a netting across for your plants, so your plants can grow up through, and that's what supports the plants, is the net. And that's kind of what a net would look like right there. So this is a vertical one. Just kind of show people what you can work with, you know. So there's the, like I said, the grow tent coming soon. I like it. I think it'd be, I haven't even grown out of it yet, but I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that shouldn't have a problem. It's actually be pretty cool. And I live in Indiana, so you're probably wondering why I'm growing, you know, all this stuff. Well, I like to grow plants in general, and I wish I lived in another state where I could grow other things, but hey man, I was put here for a reason. So this is the drip and flow update on that. The only video I have on my website and YouTube is when I first came out with it, but these are the actual plants, and holy cow, they've gotten pretty out of control. Big O tobacco. So I mean, these leaves are just massive. Pretty cool. And there again, with this system, with the drip and flow, you can grow hydroponically or use soil. There's like 3 different scenarios you could do or choose. 3 different methods of growing you could do all at the same time in this one system. So you can grow with soil, you can grow soilless with drippers, you can grow soil with a dripper, or you can just do the wicking. Okay, so like this one here, this plant here, all it has is a wick, all right, packed with soil, and it's just wicking up the water. But I did put a shut-off valve here, which I have never turned on, because that soil just completely stays nice and moist, all right. But the cool thing is, with this and having a dripper available, when this plant gets bigger and demands more water, you can turn on that dripper, and it's a big power punch there, you know. So I like that aspect. So those are the 3 different aspects you can do. See if I can't get a picture of this over here. And you can see that that's just the dripper. That's grown in soil, and this thing's just pretty damn healthy. I mean, it's massive, and it's all leaning over there, over the corner. So if that thing was standing straight up, and I've had to start trimming that one. All right, so this, starting here, working our way back to the right here, you just seen all my systems, and those are all of my smaller systems, more for in-home use, recreational, indoor, outdoor, small greenhouses, whatever, sunrooms. And then this would be on my bigger scale. And this is just a mini scale to show how you could do this on a big scale, commercialized. All right, so there's a larger vertical grow. There's a big one there, just a single. This would be your Pro with the lights. That's 6 foot tall. That there is 8 foot, I believe. Yeah, I think 8 or 9 foot. And this is the deluxe with side rails. Okay. I will show you one thing over here real quick I just thought about. And I have three high bays right here for all 12 of these plants. And I know you can see the difference. See how big these things gotten so fast? And it's because they're getting a hell of a lot of more light from this, right? So I really need to add 400 watt here, obviously, but that just shows you that, you know, your light spectrum is very important for indoor growing. I mean, these are actually starting to come around. I actually only had 2 lights up there, and I actually put a third just to see if that would help, and obviously it has, but I could put one more. But you can see how this one compared to these are even, they're bigger, you know, than that one. And then you look over here, and those things are just pow. So interesting. Another rosemary. So I'll show you the mini commercial scale grow system here, how this works. All right. So we'll start over. You start over here. This is the brewer, okay, and this is where you put all your nutrients and stuff inside the brewer. And it's a patented compost brewer, so it dispenses tea. It's filtered tea that comes out of the brewer and goes into my vortex bucket, which is completely overlooked, but it's one of the magical things with this system. And the vortex is the water, so when it dispenses out of my brewer, the vortex is that water. And if you notice, see all the air bubbles just being sucked right down into the larger reservoir down below. So this vortex bucket is actually open-ended. So the legs of it, the 4 legs at the bottom at the base, are open. So the water flows through there, and it creates a nice little spiral and keeps that water mixed and aerated inside your larger reservoir down below. So that's actually a really cool little item. So let me back up just to here. Okay, I'm going to come back over here. And this is where we collect our water right here, okay? And then it comes out of here. Comes out of here, this tube, and that tube goes all the way around over to my next container over here, okay? And it feeds this and keeps this full. So this container here is actually what feeds everything, basically. That poly tube that runs along the wall there is actually attached to this. So this is what feeds the water down the wall there for other plants. And then there's a float valve inside the larger reservoir that comes off of this as well. So it feeds into there. The water gets pumped. Here's the submersible pump that's attached to this. Compost wand here pumps the water into the brewer. The brewer dispenses it out through its filter to the vortex bucket in the reservoir down below. And then this pipe right here, there is a pump attached to that. And that pump pumps the fluid up and over to the mini scale commercial growing system. And that's what feeds all these. And it's on a timer. So, and I forget what it said on. I think it off for an hour, runs for a half hour, something like that. But this is where it dead ends. And you got a control valve. And it comes into your top channel. And it basically serpentines through, comes back, drains out there, comes down, runs the distance, comes back, drains right there, runs down the distance, comes back, and drains out right there into the 4-inch. Alright, and that 4-inch covers all these channels and goes back to the reservoir. Alright, so this is the vertical tapped off. It's coming into these 2 channels, and that goes down, comes back, and then drains out right here, down, drains back right there. Same thing with this one. So I'm actually feeding 2 channels. Oops. Feeding 2 channels. Here we go. Control valve, feeding the 2 channels up top, which ultimately will feed the 2 channels down below and drain into the 4-inch and work its way back. Another one, boom, attached. Control valve right on in. It's feeding all these plants. So definitely stay tuned because I have other things coming too. So definitely stay tuned. I got some pretty cool ideas that I want to work with on these growth systems. And but there again, man, these are all self-watering. It's pretty cool. You know, I got little cups. Now those little cups, they wick up too, and it was just soil. So, but I can get a really nice head of lettuce just out of that little cup of soil. Those are all jalapeno peppers over there, and lettuce heads, different types of lettuce. There's the okra, and in my propagation video I talked about okra, and I'll show you what I want to discuss here. I'm going to try to get a... See all those? They're like little sacks of water. And that's beneficial bacteria, okay, that this plant produces. And it looks like you have some type of bug or something going on, you know. And I thought I did, and I threw a bunch of these okra plants away, but actually these things produce beneficial bacteria, little balls, that helps fight off, you know, diseases and stuff. So I find that fascinating. It's pretty cool. So if you run across that, don't throw your plant away. There's more tobacco there. See, I got some cabbage coming, and some broccoli, some cucumbers. You know, so there's really nothing I can't grow because I'm using soil. And it's the same concept with these channels when you're wicking up like that. You know, the roots grow down in the soil, but they ultimately get down in the channel too. Okay, so you just, there again, increase the capacity for the roots to grow in, which gives you a nicer plant, and you just created your hybrid system, growing with soil and hydroponics. So, and you can actually control the level of water in these channels as well. And let's see, I come over here. So you would put an actual spacer. It's cleaned up a little bit right there so you can see better. That does have a spacer in it actually. That is the spacer. It's a bulkhead fitting down there, and then the white, what you see is an actual about a 3/4 inch, 1 inch PVC spacer. It's actually a 3/4 inch PVC, but it's probably about an inch long spacer. And you put that in, and that's what actually controls your water level in each channel. So you can raise and lower your water. All right. But yeah, so the brewer's freaking fantastic. I got it kind of jury-wopped right now because I had a problem with another air pump, so I just put that one on there real quick just to get me by. So forgive me if it looks hillbilly-ish, but that's the way it goes. The tea bag if you want to use one, you know, but you can actually put raw compost in here, just so you know. You can literally put anything in this brewer. That's what makes it so unique, having this system, is because you can get very, very creative with your nutrients. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, my website is Riverponics.com, and that is Riverponics.com, Riverponics. And I have all these systems available on my website, and I can tailor to your needs too. So thanks for watching.